Hi and welcome to the Western Region Legends of the West, and I'm Kevin Hillier. With me is Steve Tom, and in the middle of us is a man who's got a number of hats that we're going to talk to him about as a legend of footy in the Western Suburbs. It's Terry McGarity, of course, a life member of the league, umpire Hall of Fame, premiership coach. You have had a lot of hats over the years, haven't you, in local footy?
It's fair to say it's been my life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Starting out as a kid at Braybrook and then playing through to Maidstone, and then they folded, and I played in the Westwood's Under 18 premiership, which beat an undefeated Spotswood side. Puddin Chalmers was playing in that, and then later, exactly. And then from there, the Footscray Under 19s when Norm Gardner was coach.
Oh, okay.
And into the seconds, and wasn't good enough. Spent 3 years trying to prove I was. And I think after that, I wouldn't have got a kick on a football factory. I was out destroyed and just met the right person at the right time. I wandered up the Sunshine. A mate of mine said, come up there. He was playing up there at the time. And I did, Kevin. I went up there and anyhow, Bob Henderson, Fitzroy fullback, terrific bloke.
Yeah.
And anyhow, he said, what do you think the problem was, son? I said, well, probably 90% me. I said, but I was a left footer and I played all my junior football on the back line. And anyhow, Jack Collins and the boys thought I had to be half-forward flanker. It didn't work for a fair bit. And so in the finish, I completely lost my confidence. Yeah. And anyhow, he said, well, it's funny you say that. He said, we need a fullback or a centre halfback. And I said, do you? And he said, well, try in the seconds. Well, after 3 games, I managed to sort of get best of the ground, a couple of them. And I got 19th man at Frankston. And in those days, you couldn't go on and off, as you know.
Yep.
And Gary Hipworth was the centre halfback, and he broke his leg 3 minutes into the game. And I never again played in the seconds or played anywhere else. And finished up running up Best and Fairest 3 times. And probably played my best football, even outside from when I went to Spotswood. I think I went from being a person who lost confidence to a person who sort of just developed and went back to playing like I was playing in the juniors.
Yeah.
And it turned me around, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Good days, Terry, back then, the VFA. I mean, you went on like a junior administrator, got into administration for a few years, but is it the Sunshines of Yarraville's, with the Western Suburbs clubs, Williamstown, they really are as a family. They're family clubs.
Fantastic. I mean, the Sunday barrels, and you'd turn up Sunday and all the boys have been drinking since about 9 in the morning and they'd carry a bag and they were talking Chinese by then. And it was different, but by gee, it was fantastic. And I mean, I went through some wonderful coaches because VFA football was the second best football in Australia.
Yes.
Not in Victoria, the second best football in Australia. And I think the last carnival, Kevin, was in 1967. They all went down there, and the VFA was runner-up to Victoria.
Yeah.
In Western Australia, they all played.
There was some serious money in the VFL.
Absolutely. And I mean, I played under Bob Henderson, Fitzroy fullback, and Victorian player, Ken Dean, John Abraham, Donnie McKenzie, Footscray. So we had some wonderful coaches, and I mean, I was lucky enough to play in a period where Sunshine never ever played out of the finals. We won a final, but in Caulfield. It was a blue ribbon era, and the first 1.5 quarters in VFA was about surviving to see if you're still alive. You checked your pulse in your head and you said, you're still here. And away you went, because, oh my goodness gracious me, playing Port at Port and Preston at Preston. And Ray Shaw was playing for Preston, and what he called you and other people around you was interesting. It was tough footy.
Yeah.
It was tough footy, and it was umpired and played that way.
Yep.
My fondest memory of being fixed up was Mick Delante, who played for Collingwood and North Melbourne, and playing centre half back. I played on Mick Irwin, Brian Brushfield, Joe Radojevic. They were fantastic footballers, and I played on those guys. And anyhow, this particular day, Campbell, they were undefeated, and he was coaching Campbell, Delante, and I was playing with Sunshine, of course. And anyhow, needless to say, we're having a good day. And halfway through the third quarter, I made a young man's mistake. I rubbed the ball in his face and asked him when he's going to get a bloody kick. And the next thing I know, from behind me, bang, 15 stitches. So that was interesting, but it was tough footy.
Yeah.
Tough footy, no doubt about it. I mean, I came back to the Western region after that and got the job. It's funny, I applied for 3 jobs. I applied for Parkside, Spotswood and Kingsville. Ken Dean said to me at the time, what are you doing? And I said, well, because we would get $16 a game in the VFA, and $16 a win and $8 a loss. Fortunately, well, a lot more. But when I went back to the local footy, and Deanie said at the time, he said, well, come back, and he said, what's your research at clubs? What do you mean by that? He said, well, I know who's been president, who's been secretary, and I want to know about their juniors and all that. And I came back and painted this Spotswood Football Club, who hadn't won a premiership in A grade for about 6 years, but had been 3rd, 4th and 5th. And the under 18s were premiers, the under 16s were premiers, the under 14s were premiers. And anyhow, he said, well, don't make a hero of yourself. He said, go there because I'll make you. and what good advice it was.
Yeah.
You know, no doubt about that.
Yep.
They did. I mean, and there's a guy you're going to interview later, Lenny Murphy. Well, he was my ruckman.
Yep.
And I would not have won a premiership without him.
Yeah.
Because we had this typical Spotswood side, and you played against a few of them, because we were a running side, everybody thought we were cows. And, you know...
Mentally
yeah, look at his nod, it's the truth. And needless to say, they tried to bash the crap out of us every time we played them. And Lenny Murphy, there was a few bodies laying around the ground that Len caught up with.
Oh.
So he was terrific. Yeah, without him, we didn't win, there's no doubt.
We'll leave your playing days and talk about your umpiring, because that's become such an important part of your life. Now, not only as an umpire, but and what you've achieved yourself as an umpire, but the mentoring and the training that you're doing now with the young umpires coming through.
Well, the great part about it, Kevin, probably like 90% of footballers, and Stephen would have been one, once you finished your footy, that was basically the end of your career. And it nearly was me, but I'd finished. I'd been up the bush in Case Land or a premiership, and I just tossed myself in. And I said, well, you know, what do we do here? And I was running laps around the North Footscray footy ground. And Noel Grant, who had Grant Sports, spotted me, and he was an umpire. And he said, what are you doing, Terry? And I said, I'm trying to keep my fat guts off, mate. We had a bit of a laugh about it. And anyhow, he said, what about being an umpire? I said, oh, turn it up. I hate the bastards. Oh, God, you know. Anyhow, he said, no, you'll be right, you'll be right. Well, 35 years later...
you still hate him?
Yeah, I'm still doing it. But look, it's gone through a myriad of, you know, just umpiring juniors for the first 5 years.
Yep.
And then moving into the seniors with Alan Clough. Did my first game with Alan Clough, and the great Alan Clough, who played in the ruck for Footscray, of course. And away I went, and then into senior footy, and enjoyed that. Then the roles of being Vice President of the Umpires Association and being Fitness Advisor for the Umpires Association, which lines up with my pro running, and you know, all that sort of thing. And I think then sort of I got to the stage, I remember I was always, and I always have been, really critically aware that if I'm not doing justice to the game, I'll go down a good level.
Yeah, fair enough.
And so 5 years ago I said I'm going back to the under-18s, where I still am.
Yep.
And then this chance with these academies came up, and we've got these 3 academies, one at McKillop, and one at Caroline Springs, and one at the Hall of Fame School, Maribyrnong, the sporting school. And that just opened up another door for me, this mentoring role, you know, and I love it. And I mean, I've been able to put more back into that, and now I sort of, whereas in the days gone by, you know, I had a lot to do with Wayne Foreman and Mickey McLean, coaching up Footscray in the 90s, as you know, and those guys, see them go on and play senior football. Well, now, believe it or not, I sit back and watch guys who go on to make AFL football.
Yeah.
And people don't realise the pathway to it is sensational, to have an academy and have older fellas like myself and Terry O'Donnell and McPherson mentoring these kids. They can go on. I mean, you don't have to be a brain surgeon in the Western Suburbs, and a lot of kids aren't, but they've got a chance. They've got a chance in life if they want to be an umpire, because presently, AFL senior umpires get $2,800 a game.
Yeah.
Boundary umpires get $1,100 a game, and goal umpires get $1,100 a game.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a kid perhaps not scholastically brilliant, but you've got a chance to do something with your life, and I'm playing a part in that, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Just on also the executive now of the league, of the Western Region Football League. You've been a life membership of the Western Region Football League, FDFL, inducted into the Hall of Fame with the umpires. Overall, these, we talk about the different hats, Terry, probably what's the most rewarding?
This is going to surprise you, I think. Umpiring.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep.
You know, like, the work on the board is terrific, because I've got a board with set skills. I mean, we've got lawyers, barristers, solicitors, and I'm the football person.
Yep.
So, you know, so on the front line trip, because I'm there at 9:45 Saturday morning, and I know all the presidents, I know all the secretaries, I know all the fellas who broadcast the footy, you know, and that's fantastic, and that's a great life for me. We had our mid-season dinner the other night, 180 people, and that was sensational night, you know. So look, the enjoyment for me is not just that area; it is also really, really strongly, I'm telling you, honestly, in umpiring, because to see that develop like it's developing, and see Western Suburbs kids get a chance in life, Steve. And you know what I'm talking about. Kids have been on the bare bum, you know. Getting up and getting a chance in life is fantastic. And I've seen those kids do it. And at the moment, as you know, during the summer, I train them. They come up and train with me during the summer. And then they go in and they've got to pass all the tests and all that stuff. I haven't had one fail yet. It's pretty ordinary kids. And they've got in there and they've done it. And to me, it's so fulfilling. I don't know whether it's because it's something I'm doing late in my life at 68-year-old, but it's something I have full and absolute enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you, Terry. You're a legend, mate. Proud to have you as part of the Western Region Footy League and the many roles that you do give the league and give to the people of the West. And we've been more than delighted to sit down and have a bit of a chat with you today.
May I say thank you for the job you guys are doing too, because you promote this terrifically, and old buggers like myself late in the career appreciate it. Thank you.
Good on you. Terry McGarity, one of the legends of the Western Region Footy League.